Wow. First of all, I'm so inspired by all of you, and particularly the work that I'm hearing about and seeing that happens between 8 a.m. and 3:30, 4 p.m., right, every afternoon and every morning. And I think what I want to talk to you a little bit more about is what we needed to do in the Rampart District between 3 and 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Because there were some different needs that were there for us in that community. And here's my learning from this experience thus far. It's that when I was walking in yesterday night and I saw the school building and I saw the pipeline and then I saw the prison at the end, I wanted to blow up the walls of that school building. I love school. But I wanted to widen this village. I didn't want the schools to be the only ones responsible for educating our children, right? I wanted it to be schools and after-school clubs and churches and anyone and everyone who could help to make a difference. And I needed to create a space that was safe for the kids in the community in the Rampart District especially, because actually we were having a hard time there keeping them at school after school. Their parents were telling them what you've probably heard before and seen dramatized over the years. You know, you go straight from school home, and you close the door, and you put on the television, and you do your homework. And that's what they were being told. So we wanted to initially create a safe environment for them. And this is what we did. We had 5 kids in a basketball. And the first group of kids came, and we were keeping them off the streets and away from gangs. And boy, oh boy, that went on for quite a while. And I came back to Heart of LA in 2003, and I met a lot of the 16 and 17-year-olds. And I said, you know, what do you love about coming to Heart of LA? And they said, oh my gosh, it's like a second home. I love it here. But what I realized was that they were 16 and 17 years old, but they couldn't read and write beyond a 3rd grade level. So that's when I had to go back and say, okay, now what can we do between the hours of 3 and 7, 8, and 9 o'clock at night? And we started to set off on that path. And I've learned a lot of lessons in trying to do that. So what did we do? We hired credentialed teachers. We structured programming. Now we serve 600 students every day, come no more than 3 unexcused absences. So the programming is highly structured. It does feel like a school. So they go to their own schools and they come to our community campus, and we almost do it all over again in a lot of ways. They have classes that are quarterly. And then what we'll do is we'll collect their report cards and we'll know how they're doing in school. We'll communicate with teachers to the best of our ability. But again, this wasn't a perfect thing. It didn't happen overnight, and there are definitely lessons that I want to share with you that I've learned, and there's challenges still yet to be conquered. But in the interim, what we would do is we'd provide them with math, language arts, science, arts, other academic coursework that would be interesting and engaging to them. We'd try to provide individualized attention to the kids. Like I said, we'd hire credentialed teachers to come in, but we'd also have aspiring credentialed teachers. We'd have professionals in different walks of life. And let's say, for example, you're a student who was really struggling in a particular level in math. Well, guess what? Next quarter, you might have a math class after school on a Monday with us. And you'll actually be with us for 38 to 48 weeks during the year. So highly supplemental, and I hope very engaging and very helpful. But before I go to athletics, I'm going to rewind. It wasn't always easy. It wasn't always easy. Here's why it wasn't easy. One, first of all, you'd think, oh, this is great. These guys, they supplement all these great things that we're trying to accomplish in the classroom. Why wouldn't we partner with this school? Or why wouldn't we partner with Heart of LA? Well, this is what would happen. Initially, our parents would feel very ashamed about going to their own parent-teacher conferences. Why? Because their education level in the Rampart District, still the majority of the parents have no more than a middle school education. So the thought of going into, say, their high school or even middle school or even elementary school for that matter, and trying to explain that their child needs help or to ask a question was very intimidating for them. And they were coming back to us and telling us, because we became the center of trust, we feel ashamed. And we'll do anything the teacher tells us, but we don't know how to help motivate our kids. We need additional help and additional support. So Heart of LA would say, well, we'll help you. We'll teach you. We'll create classes to teach you how to go in and ask the right questions of your teachers and school. We'll help you to understand What sort of resources are available to you if your child has an IEP? We'll help you understand how you can get tested. Again, these are all things that seem to be helpful from the outside, but in practice, they weren't necessarily met with the open arms that one might anticipate. So what was the first barrier? The first barrier were vice principals and principals. Boy, did they have gatekeepers, right? Okay, we'll get you a meeting. But my son needs help now. We get it. We'll get you a meeting. Go back to the office and get the meeting. So we go back to the office. Sometimes if a child had an IEP and needed service, or needed an IEP and then also needed services, it's pretty regular in our neighborhood that they wouldn't get to see that first meeting until 5 or 6 weeks after they knew that they needed help. And then at that point, notes would be taken by someone, intake notes would be taken, and then that should technically go back to the teacher. Well, in one case, actually in several cases, the notes went back and they were lost. And in some cases, there were issues in which the services actually didn't get rendered until a complete semester later, right? And we would go back to the parents, we'd say, well, what happened here? And they'd say, well, at the parent-teacher conferences, we only had 10 minutes to kind of tell people about our problem, and we froze. we didn't say the right thing, I guess. So we try to help and we try to teach the parents on how to communicate, but oftentimes this is what it means. It means we will go with the parents to the parent-teacher conferences, and we will sit with the teachers, and we will listen and hear what needs to be done to solve the problem. We will try to help solve the problem together. Now, that works in most cases. Sometimes, though, we've had incidents where students have been told by counselors, for example, you're behind. You're in high school, you're behind. Maybe school isn't the best thing for you. Maybe it's time to take you down another vocational path. And they present things in a very black and white manner. Option A, option B. When there's options C and D and E available and on the table if you know how to ask for it. So we have to go in and ask for these things. We had an example with a young student who he was given that ultimatum, if you will. Sorry, you're behind. I don't think school's for you. And so the parent came to us and said, this is what they told me. And they didn't know how to properly ask for more services. So we said, you know what, let's get another meeting. CC me on an email to the vice principal. We will get another meeting with a different counselor at that school. And we met with a different counselor at the school. The same options, A and B, were presented. So we had to provide options C, D, and E. And we said, we'll continue to support C, D, and E, and we'll team up with you to make this happen. And lo and behold, C, D, and E were able to be put into place. And now that particular student is doing photography, which he loves, at our center after school. We're providing academic support, and he's going to graduate high school, continuation high school, but he's going to graduate with his GED. So that's a good start. But there are all these barriers, there are all these gatekeepers, and we need help. Our parents, our families need help breaking down those barriers. And I know from the teacher's perspective, you don't have a lot of time. You're overcrowded, you're over-resourced, or you're under-resourced. Well, I think I'd love to see the big idea be that we work together to help bridge this gap that exists between our parents and our students, and we provide additional support educationally. And what can happen? Well, I'll give you an example. Right now, we have kids coming to our athletic programs. We have over 1,000 kids who come every year. It's an entry point for them. I don't discount athletics because oftentimes we've had kids come through athletics. It's the one place they feel like they can come and be heard and play on a team and feel valued. They gain their strength there. And then what we do is we chip away. Because our programming starts with kids ages 6 years old, we'll see them all the way through 24 years old. So we might see them through 4 or 5 different schools along that path, right? And athletics becomes this constant in their life that we're able to vacillate through together with them. And what we'll do is we'll say, hey, listen, we've seen you play basketball year in and year out with us. You really need to start focusing on college prep. No, I'm too busy. I have to help my mom, with the family, put my younger brother, food on the table for my younger brother. I have to work. But you're only 16. I know, but basketball's my stress relief, or soccer's my way of, balancing things out. You get your butt into our college prep programming. We want to see you be the first one to go to college and break the generational cycle of poverty. And I can't say it, but another alum through our program can say that. And the student, guess what? It's been said before earlier today, they will listen to one another. And so this young lady, for example, did. She started coming to our college prep program. Here's the good news. She got into Brown University. She's now a junior there. And last year she came back and she says, hey, Tony, guess what? I have some great news. I have an internship back here in Los Angeles working for a law firm. I want to be a lawyer. I said, oh, that's incredible. I'm so proud of you. And Brown's wonderful. I said, oh my God. And I'm the first in my family to go, I know, that's incredible. You're amazing. She said, but that's not the good news. I said, well, what's the good news? Well, her mother was a vendor. She would push carts vending in the streets of the Rampart District. And that's what she was helping her mother to do. That's why she needed basketball as a stress relief. And she said, the good news is that the gentleman that I'm working for at the law firm has hired my mom as his assistant. She's no longer pushing the cart. It was the student who created this new era of hope, who broke the cycle of poverty, and she came through our athletics program. So I never discount athletics. But then we offer visual arts, a myriad art classes. Again, in the LAUSD school system, right now there are very few schools that have the ability to offer a lot of arts programming. Most of the schools are not, right? It's woefully under-resourced, it's woefully watered down. But we are able to offer, again, 38 to 48 weeks of art, over 30 art classes a week. A student can go to a full day of school on their school campus. They can come to the center and they can really get 10 to 12 hours of art that week, plus academic support. They have an art gallery, they can display their work, and they have community. Their parents, their families can come here. They feel safe coming here, right? They feel welcomed. Then we have music. Music is yet another great avenue and opportunity that has been cut out of LAUSD quite considerably. So yes, you will hear that we have music at our school. Well, if you're a music magnet, that's awesome. You've got a lot. You're good. We're not worried about you. But if you're not a music magnet, you may see art for your students, right, 8 weeks out of a school year. Now the kids have, again, 12 to 15 hours of music a week. We had a wait list of over 300 families trying to get into our programs. 300 families. This was 6 years ago. Actually, I'm sorry, 6 years ago we had a wait list of 500 families trying to get into our music program, or into Heart of LA. So we started this youth orchestra program because we knew we'd be able to serve 200 to 250 rather quickly. And what do I love about music? One, they have the opportunity to work with some really incredible people. They go deep, 12 to 15 hours a week. What do you know? What does that net? What does that yield? I want to talk about the trumpet and how it's saved. And I want to talk about Heart of LA, and I want to talk about how we can work together in these final few moments. In the upper right of this picture, you'll see my good friend Miguel. Miguel started coming to Heart of LA when he was a little guy, as pictured there. And he got into a lot of trouble at school. He started to check out. We tried to keep him engaged. We did not have an orchestra program at that time. We did not have the academic services like we provide now. But he started to fall out. And when he did fall out, ultimately he was ashamed of coming to HOLA too. So he went to his high school, and he ultimately got kicked out. So Miguel came into my office and he says, Tony, I'm done messing up. I'm on my second continuation high school. I'm a junior, and I need something. I loved music when I was at HOLA. I started to play the trumpet, but I stopped. And I said, you play the trumpet? So I walked him over to the music program. I said, check out this orchestra that we have right now. The very next day, the director of the music program said, Miguel, welcome aboard. So there's Miguel on the left with his trumpet. And Miguel works real hard. Next thing you know, Miguel is on his way to Tokyo to play with Gustavo Dudamel. I'd like to show you a quick little excerpt of Miguel having his life blown open.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Gustavo Dudamel.
that we can provide if we work together. Miguel can go to his school at 8 a.m. in the morning. He can come to Heart of Los Angeles or a community organization near you. We can work together with teachers to make sure that Miguel doesn't fall through the cracks, and we can give him experiences like this one. We can widen the educational village and make sure that Miguel doesn't fall into continuation school and then fall out and drop out. We can turn his life around. And here's what's cool about Miguel. Miguel graduated his continuation high school as salutatorian. He now is in college, his first year, and on January 1st, he'll be playing in the Tournament of Roses Rose Parade as a herald trumpet. So you can watch him. And together, we can all watch him take flight for the rest of his life and break the cycle of generational poverty. The other part that I want you to know about Miguel and some of the other students is that playing the trumpet, working together to provide things that we can't provide on our own, I think is how we make education better going forward. And I just want to find a way that we can combine the love and the care that we have for kids and make sure that we can make a successful life for all of the kids who come through our schools. Thank you so much.